Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler, Wes, and Chris along with you for the next hour. Guys, happy Valentine's Day, but most importantly, happy Clowney Day. Today, 12 years ago, Jadeveon Clowney committed to be a South Carolina Gamecock. I know you guys have shared your personal stories on how that recruitment went down. Hard to believe it's now been a dozen years.
I'm glad you brought that up, Tyler. You just gave me. I was just telling Chris, I'm like having some writers, some mental block over here. You at least gave me what my Instagram post can be today for the Gamecock Central IG.
See, we help each other out.
Gotta hang out with Tyler more and give us more ideas.
Yes, we need more ideas. Holy cow, that was a long time ago, y'all. It would have been 12 years ago.
Yeah, it was 12. That's what Tyler calculated. 12. I trust you. Mathematician. 12 years ago. Actually, I'm going to give a hot take. Seems like it was even longer ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it really does. So it is interesting. Were you there? You were in the house?
I was not. Were you?
I was there.
Funny enough. So here's one of the funny parts of the story. I was in Mexico. I had scheduled the post-signing day vacation. Right? Because that was when there was one big signing day, 2011. So you go ahead and say with the wifey, yeah, we'd been married not even 2 years at that point. Got married in, actually, no, we weren't married. So we were going to Mexico. Yeah, we've been married a little over 2 years, a little over a year and a half. Oh, yeah, post signing day, we'll take a little vacation. February 14th, we'll be there.
Nothing's going to happen that day.
Yeah, I mean, nobody, because that was so, you didn't see that a lot. Like every now and then there was a dude that would commit after signing day, because a lot of people forget the signing day, and there was only one back then, first Wednesday of February, but the period runs until April. But nobody does that. Right. I mean, almost everybody signs that day. So, yeah, I was sitting in Mexico.
I feel like back then, almost literally nobody pushed the envelope on that.
I think Roquan Smith, I think, took it past, who ended up going to Georgia. There were a couple other kids, but it was rare. And so, yeah, I was in Mexico. We'll have to have Shu on the show to see probably what he thought about that at the time. I did watch. I was in the little internet cafe. We had our content ready. But yeah, I was in Mexico hanging out.
Now, was your wife mad that you were working on vacation?
No, she understood.
I think Chris was okay working on vacation on that one. A, because it's Clowney. B, I know his wife. She was wanting to know what was happening about Clowney just as much as anybody else in Gamecock Nation. And C, Chris at least chose his only choice, but he was stuck between a constant battle with anyone who works in sports, which is, do I get fired or do I get divorced today?
Yeah.
You know, like I have Chris knows like the balance, the work-life balance, which being in sports is amazing. It's great.
Yeah.
I'll never complain, but there's not set hours. So you are constantly in, oh, am I going to get fired today or get divorced today, as you try to balance the two things out. Chris's only decision, because trips to Mexico are not planned, 2 weeks before. They're planned.
Next week you want to go to Mexico?
Chris he made the only decision he could. But yes, I was there. It is kind of interesting. There is a certain feel, and again, you're talking about pressure on high school kids, to live up to it. But there's a certain feel, there's a certain it factor that is present for, I remember it with Gilmore, remember it with Lattimore, remember it with Clowney. With Alshon, you could just tell like this, because South Carolina got him to flip from Southern Cal. Special moment. There was some of that being there for Nick Harbor as well. Just the way when he walked in the room, like the student body was sort of buzzing that he had arrived. It is kind of cool, but then you have to remind yourself. And as I've gotten older, I try to remind, I'm like, these are high school kids. Like, there's no guarantees here. But with Clowney, it was like, this guy is the best high school player I've ever seen.
But he was kind of so. Alshon had the cape, remember Superman cape at his signing day ceremony. So Clowney, the funny thing is he was kind of unassuming. Like some people thought, oh, he's taking it past signing day, so like he has no clue what he wants to do, or he like loves the attention. He did not. He did not like the attention. Wes, I don't know. You probably remember trying to get the guy on the phone.
Oh, I didn't even try.
Yeah, at the end, point. I mean, probably the last like 6 months, like there's just no effort because he would change his phone number all the time. He didn't like it. I've got a funny story about going to his basketball game to try to talk to him. But like sometimes he wouldn't even like, if he just didn't feel like going on a visit, even if he said he was going to be there, he just wouldn't go. And even his signing day ceremony, like he's on ESPN, like it's nationally televised. That wasn't as common back then.
Right.
2011, like they'd just kind of gotten into that space. But it was a big deal for his. Kind of like, it's the only one because it's not signing day. It's literally Valentine's Day. And Clowney's just kind of like puts on the Gamecock hat and, and he's kind of, I'm going to go up there and play with those boys, like.
But when you're a generational type of talent like that, you can get away with that. You can do it your own way and nobody really bats an eye about it.
It was his birthday. He just wanted to commit. That was kind of it.
How much could Clowney rack up in NIL money?
That's what I was thinking about. We were just talking about NIL last hour, Garnet Trust Hour.
What would his NIL valuation on 3 be? Would be
a lot.
In the past 15 years, I would think like him, Johnny Manziel, they'd definitely be like in the top 5
Manziel
earners. I mean,
Johnny Manziel
would have been number 1 without a doubt, but Clowney would have been in the top 5, at least in the past decade and a half of, overall earnings, I would feel like.
And I don't
at least in the conversation.
I don't feel like Clowney what Cam Newton.
Oh,
yeah.
Cam Newton was already getting paid, allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
Come on. No way, Tyler. Stop. He turned down the money at the one school, just went to Auburn because he
just
loved
enjoyed the colors and liked trees. But no, Cam would have been up there.
Been pretty high.
Cam might see
big personality too.
He was only there for 1 year. So that sort of slows your opportunity there. And Cam, are we going to play out this conversation?
Sure. Go for it.
Cam, I feel like, all right, looking back, Cam actually probably had an argument for what he meant to Auburn to be number 1 even.
Mm-hmm.
But y'all remember when he got to Auburn, nobody necessarily knew that he was Cam yet.
He was a backup at Florida. They got cut from the team, played in junior college, played well, but
had a huge year.
Yeah, had a huge year, but there wasn't a ton of fanfare outside of the Auburn program when he came in there. It's like, hey, they got this guy from JUCO. Cool. Let's see what he can do. And he ended up being
did some things.
Maybe the greatest college quarterback ever for that one season.
Yes, I feel like that would have very deeply threatened his NIL ability. Like there would have been a market there. And I feel like as the year went on, it would have been like, oh wait, this guy, obviously we were all like, this guy is special.
Mm-hmm.
But there also wouldn't have been that push to, oh, well, he has to get some NIL money or he's going to leave after this year because he's going to go to the NFL anyway. So I don't know if his valuation itself would have been through the roof, but the practicality of it wouldn't have driven up the way Johnny Manziel did it at such a young age and then came back. His would have been through the roof.
Looping back to Jadeveon Clowney, if you had to put a number value on the hit against Michigan in NIL money, what would that have been worth?
True. I mean, there's a lot there. It's certainly worth a lot to the University of South Carolina. I mean, their Google hits, their admissions, their trends. I mean, dude, he could have signed a zillion prints of that and done NFTs. And, and it's kind of hard because like the social media era was not then what it is now. And so, would Clowney have even been on Twitter? He might be. I don't
Twitter-
feel like it.
I mean, Twitter was around then.
It was
I
around,
was on Twitter. I remember it.
Was he
being
on
a big
Twitter back
deal.
in the day?
I think he was one of the guys that was on there, but didn't really
He didn't do anything.
do much. And back then there was it's kind of funny. There was it's really hard to pinpoint when this moment was. There was a moment when Twitter, was here and it was used professionally
Yes.
for news, and it obviously still is. But there was a moment when it shifted. It used to be that it was still just like a toy, almost sort of like, Instagram for college students. They post pictures of them and their friends. At some point, it became a thing where, that's how I control my brand.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when schools used to steer away from mentioning social media. Like you would never have seen somebody's Twitter handle on their official bio on a school site, 10 years ago. But then it became, there were schools that basically banned their guys from tweeting during the season.
Yeah.
Some athletes would take it upon themselves to say, I'm getting up. And they still do that sometimes.
That preseason tweet, talk to y'all in January or February or whatever.
Yeah. So, but now it's so tied into your brand and your value and NIL and all this stuff. But schools have leaned into that, but I think they feel like they have to because they want to be able to tell athletes when they recruit them, hey, we're going to do everything possible to grow your brand. There's still guys still to this day that don't care about social media.
Sure. But if you threw a pile of money at them and said, hey, promote this product, promote this service, they'd get on there and do it.
Well, and some athletes have been able to leverage their following to where it's more of their following even on social media and just being smart about how they do that, even than their athletic exploits. Mm-hmm. They've been able to create deals for themselves there. Sometimes it's both.
Well, and that's on the On3 website. When you look at the NIL evaluations, that's what it lists is like Twitter followers, TikTok, Instagram, like and we don't know how much money specifically these guys are making, but it says based on these followers, here's an idea of what they could be making given this exposure.
An attempt to set the market. And I don't know how far back we would want to go, but I think the number one, if you were to create a number one, like it has to be somewhat modern era. You can't say, Earl Campbell or,
Which that's why I said 15 years a minute ago, just kind of keeping it a little bit more modern. But you can take it back as far as you want.
It's got to at least be in the social media era.
Yes.
I feel like.
Okay. Well, my number one of all time, and this is kind of on the cusp of that, Tim Tebow would have been.
Yeah.
Definitely have been up there.
Number one, and then there's like the Grand Canyon, and then everybody else probably.
I feel like Manziel could have
probably
rivaled Tebow numbers.
But would some of Manziel's off the field stuff have
how many
limited him?
This is gonna sound bad. How many like gambling deals could he have gotten if those were allowed?
Oh man, he would have been the face of BetMGM or something.
They're alcohol.
I know they're not really allowed, but
you said it. I didn't.
I mean, he was a partier, right?
That's big time.
Yeah,
that's not exactly a secret. No, Tebow would have absolutely killed it. They need to do that. On3 should do. Hey, if we could kind of project the social media era, let's do an all-time NIL top 25.
But we're on agreement. Clowney would be top 5.
He at least in the conversation for top 5.
Yeah. My only wonder is, would he have done, because I mean, he had a big personality, but like he wasn't as forward-facing as like a Tim Tebow or even a Cam or a Johnny Manziel.
But his presence is what sold him. Like he didn't have to be doing, public speaking engagements. Just being Clowney would have sold a lot.
Yeah, he didn't have to post a TikTok a day.
Right.
Yeah.
Y'all know who has been amazing at this? I feel like if you look at Travis Hunter, when he went into the portal and then he was like, hey guys, I'm going to announce something once I get my YouTube followers up to X number. And it's like, dude, you are just playing everybody right now. Knowing you're following.
Don't hate the player, hate the game.
I mean, I respect it. Don't get me wrong. I have a lot of respect for it, but he is definitely playing the game.
All right, we're going to run to our first time out, come back on the other side, continue our conversation about NIL, and continue to celebrate Clowney Day here on 107.5 The Game. It's the Garnet Trust Takeover Hour, or Garnet Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs.
Got something to say?
Ring us up on the Love Chevy phone line. South Carolina's #1 volume Chevy dealer.
At 803-404-6100.
Your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
This is Damon Amendolara with your CBS Sports Minute. Look around at the television landscape, and all you see is numbers that have dwindled throughout the year. Then you look at the Super Bowl and realize it's apparently still 1975. Sunday's game was the third most watched TV program of all time. As always, America can only agree on one thing: watching football. This is Damon Amendolara.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? There's a tremendous price war in the term life industry. Rates have dropped dramatically in the past few years. For example, a man aged 45, non-smoker, can get $1 million of coverage for $75 per month. Level rate for 10 years. Or a man aged 50, non-smoker, can obtain $500,000 of coverage for a monthly premium of $110. Level rate for 20 years. That's right, guaranteed level rate for 20 years. If you're a smoker, we have great rates available for you as well. At Term Busters, we specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. If you're looking for a new or replacement term life insurance, call today for a quote. 800-786-9161. You're probably paying more than you should. Call 1-800-786-9161. Remember, 1-800-786-9161. Sample rate quotes based on preferred non-smoker rate class. Exam required to qualify.
For appliances with Reliances, that's Jeffers McGill.
Come see the entire line of GE appliances at 1421 Atlas Road. Jeffers McGill offers the best customer service and lowest price on every GE make and model,
including GE Profile, Monogram, and Cafe brands. Jeffers McGill and GE, your home team.
For appliances with Reliances, that's Jeffers McGill.
It's time to think about your tax refund. And Jackson Hewitt wants you to think biggest. As in, we guarantee you'll get your biggest refund or your money back plus $100. Who offers that? Come to think of it, nobody. It's one of the biggest guarantees out there and why you can't just file with anybody. For your guaranteed biggest refund, go to Jackson Hewitt today. Your wallet will thank you. When every dollar matters, it matters who does your taxes.
Hello, this is Joe Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is a firm that practices family law exclusively. We focus on only one area of the law to maximize our strength and effectiveness as advocates for clients that have everything on the line: their homes, retirement, savings, and most importantly, their children. We're the partner our clients count on. If we can be of help to you, give us a call.
Online at CordellCordell.com. 1201 Main Street, Suite 840, Columbia, South Carolina, 29201. Joseph Cordell, licensed in Missouri and Illinois only.
If you're thinking about retiring soon, be sure to tune in to Save Your Retirement with Pat Struby of Preservation Specialists. Join Pat as he talks about the latest trends and headlines that could impact your retirement. Don't go into retirement unprepared. Listen each Sunday morning at 10 to Save Your Retirement with Pat Struby of Preservation Specialists. Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services offered through Kalos Capital Incorporated.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game.
Discover Herndon Certified. ride. Herndon Chevrolet's premier used car warranty. Shop with complete confidence knowing Herndon Chevrolet has got you covered.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour.
Presented by Firehouse Subs. Founded by firemen with Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell, and Tyler Head. On your home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
Back in on the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Going to jump back into our conversation relating to NIL in just a moment, but it is Tuesday. That means there is a Firehouse Sub of the day waiting for you, the Tuesday special.
Turkey, bacon, ranch. 2 of my 3 favorite things on the planet. Let y'all guess which 2. But Jadeveon Clowney could have gotten himself more than likely a phenomenal deal with Firehouse Subs and eaten all the turkey, bacon, and ranches he ever wanted. You can do the same today. They got a $5.99 small, $7.99 medium. Just go with the medium. That's what you want. Anyway, that's the sub of the day. Every single day there is a sub of the day. You don't have to get it, but if you want to have a little bit of an extra deal there, do that. Hit the Rapid Rescue. Order online, firehousesubs.com. There are 14 locations in the Midlands, so that means no matter where you are in our listening area, more than likely there's a Firehouse Subs nearby to you. Again, this is Turkey, Bacon, Ranch Day. One of my favorite subs on the Firehouse Subs menu.
So I had this question from how we started the show talking about Chris being in Mexico when this announcement happened. Is that the oddest place you've ever been having to do a story or break news or something like that? Or has it gotten weirder?
Thought you were going to say during a recruiting announcement. That probably
that kind of encompasses breaking news and reporting.
Yeah. Gosh, I would have to think about that. Actually, my wife, Wes, would probably be able to be like, yeah, you remember that time we had to...
Oh, yeah.
I feel like she remembers all of them.
Shout out Carolyn. She's maybe still listening. Let us know. I'm
Text
sure...
on my personal Firehouse Subs text line.
Yeah, I'm sure she knows. I'm trying to think of... I mean, I've written... I'm sure you have as well. I've written many riding down the road. With riding down the road.
Motion sickness.
Yeah. Well, I don't really get that. Not driving down the road, thankfully, just riding.
You haven't written you got your laptop out while you're driving? No Tesla at that time.
Yeah.
I don't know. Mexico, I've definitely been like on vacation when things happened. And I've left Wes high and dry at times. Like Zach Pickens committed when I was at the beach. So I got, is that a good one?
I didn't write the story, but I posted that he had committed from the gym.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that.
I got a phone. You were on vacation.
Yep.
And I got a phone call, and it was from. I guess we're good here. It was from the parent of another player, and he was like, "Hey, man, Zach Pickens it's like an impromptu ceremony." He's like, Pickens is about to commit. And I'm like, what? And this was on, I think, a Friday night, Thursday or Friday night. And I was at the gym. The day was over. I was relaxing, going to get my workout in. And so I'm like, well, tell me where he goes. And then he's like, yeah, it's South Carolina. So he's like, well, do you want to talk to him? And I'm like, well, yeah. He's like, cool. I'm going to go get him and put him on the phone. And I'm like, can you call me right back when you do that? So then I'm like running out to the car, trying to put something together on my phone because I don't have my laptop with me. And then like, all right, how am I going to record this interview? So then I did have one of those apps that'll let you record it. I ended up calling this person back, and then they put Zach on the phone because I was like, okay, is this enough to run this? Like I'm hearing it from a third party, but they are literally there.
Like, no, he just did it.
Yeah. And then he put Zach on the phone. So I'm like, okay, well, yeah.
Was it like a formal announcement? Like, was it a ceremony, or like how did this?
It was an impromptu ceremony. Like it was at the end of their spring game, I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah. It was like a scrimmage.
Okay.
And the hilarious thing about that is the Clemson coaches were there that day.
Epic.
Ooh.
And he
had no clue, obviously.
Yeah, he ends up committing to South Carolina that day. But it was a situation where it wasn't a planned ceremony, or it may have been internally. It was not like
the media did not.
It was not put out. It was not like, hey, everybody come out. We're going to do an announcement. It was just like, oh, Zach has something to tell everybody. Shout out to that parent.
Yeah. Our buddy, Matt Connolly, Wes, you remember it's now like a meme, basically. You remember he wrote that story, like posted up against a dumpster?
Yes.
That one just cracks me up because people take it. It's like a very like niche like meme among like Clemson and Carolina.
Writing about Clemson,
yeah,
up against the dumpster.
That I've never done a dumpster story.
Well, I feel like you shouldn't. It's just bad optics.
So what's the story? Why was he up against a dumpster?
I've never heard. He just
I don't think it was planned. Just
of course.
I think he just had to write a story.
It's a good spot. How about up against this dumpster? Sounds good. I don't know.
You got to do what you got to do.
We've all done there have been a lot of crazy ones because, I mean, it's like Wes said, there's no off season. There's no like, okay, we're going to set the news to break today sometime between 9 and 3. No, it doesn't work that way.
I think I don't think this is a false memory. I think this really happened. This was back when laptops didn't last, like the batteries don't last as well as they do now. And I had to write something and my laptop was dead and I could not find somewhere to plug in. And I ended up unplugging. It was back when those little like strip malls, like outside malls, you would have like drink machines and snack machines just outside. I feel like you don't see those anymore, actually. But I unplugged a drink machine so I could plug in and get some juice.
Somebody came by a few minutes later or like an hour later and they're like, my Dr. Pepper's all warm.
Did you plug it back in afterwards? Did you forget?
Probably forgot.
I would hope that I did, but I can't say for sure.
The one my wife did just remind me of this one on. I'm just going to call it the Firehouse Subs text line.
There you go.
It's my Apple Watch. But
Sure.
So when my second daughter was born, she was born in November. Or wait, I think she might have got the child wrong, honestly. One of my children, we'll sort that out at the Clark household later.
Okay.
Don't tell her she's
But
wrong.
one of my daughters was born in November.
Ooh.
The previous year, because mine are very close, they're less than a year apart.
Yeah.
The other one was born the preceding December. One of those, we had a coaching search going on. And but that would have been, that would have been because Spurrier stepped down in 2015. So she's right, as usual. Shout out. Happy Valentine's Day. You're right again. But when my youngest daughter was born, Spurrier had stepped down mid-season
right
after the LSU game. And so you had that prolonged, it was like 50-something days of a coaching search. And so we've already got a newborn. We've got another one like on the way. And that was absolutely crazy. Like, if you ask me, like, well, what was your memory of that? I don't know. I have none.
I mean, were you like sitting in the delivery room, like on your laptop, or like, what are we talking about here?
Well, Will Muschamp did not get hired until December of that year, and she was born before that.
Okay.
But probably, I mean, I really don't know. There was way too much going on from a work. But I have videos. I've gone back. And even after she was born, right? Because the coaching search was still going on. We'll look back over these home videos. We literally saw one like a few weeks ago. And it's like the youngest daughter playing on the floor, the youngest one being fed or something. And I'm walking around like trying to keep things. And I'm like talking to Wes on the phone about the coaching search. Like you can hear me talking about blah, 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 Will Muschamp, blah, blah, blah. So that's not the most off the wall, but that was definitely like the craziest time of trying to work and balance everything.
Okay. We're going to run into a timeout. I have a very important question to ask on the other side relating to these kind of things since we're already talking about it. We'll come back with that question. You're listening to the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs right here on 107.5 The Game.
We are very social.
At 1075 The Game on Twitter, 1075 The Game on Instagram, and 1075 The Game on Facebook.
Oh, Teddy, did you get my friend request? Oh, I'll have to check.
Your home of the Gamecocks. 1075 The Game.
An ode to the mountains, oceans, rivers, and adventurers of the Southeast, Peak Drift Brewing Company has launched its award-winning craft beers and hard seltzers to bars, stores, and restaurants across the Midlands. Try our Golden Ale, New England IPA, Red IPA, Berry Crumble Sour, or Fire Pit Ale, all crafted using cutting-edge technology that promotes sustainability and industry collaboration. Find your Peak Drift moment at peakdriftbrewing.com. Jay Phillips here for my good friends at Dan's Fan City in Harbison. Ceiling fans don't sound like something you think about a lot because you don't really need to, but when you've got them, they work well, keeping energy costs down and your comfort level up. John at Dan's Fan City wants to remind you to make your ceiling fan move in reverse this time of year to keep the heat off the ceiling. See John for any questions and for all of your ceiling fan needs. Go to Dan's Fan City in Harbison or call him at 781-FANS. You'll be glad you did.
This is Larry Leitner, owner and founder of Midstate Roofing. And for nearly 30 years, we've continued to be the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. Midstate Roofing's proven history is your assurance that our professionals at Midstate Roofing will provide the proper advice, service, and results to the needs of your facility in a manner both safe and pleasing to your operation. From high-rise to hospitals, manufacturing to industrial, Midstate Roofing designs and installs bonded systems with a protective guarantee that will keep your operation dry and running long into the future. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And this is Blake Leitner, reminding you to protect that roof with a maintenance contract. Call me today at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. That's midstateroofing.com.
You'll speak to an on-call technician after hours or a Midstate Roofing staff member during hours at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. And as always, tell them Midstate Twins.
If you have a leak, let Midstate Roofing take a peek.
If you work with one of South Carolina's 5,700 manufacturing companies, you're part of something really cool. Hey, this thing is cool. Even this HR guy is cool. But he needs help updating his employee training programs. We can help you with that. At SCMEP, we know that manufacturing is complex, and that if one part gets out of step, everything stops. Definitely not cool. We have the resources to help your operations thrive. Now that's cool. Visit scmep.org.
Sponsored by SCMEP.
Washington led the revolution. Lincoln saved the nation. Now, Galliana Kia is making history with the best deals in years. Gotta go to Galliana. America loves a great deal, and Galliana Kia delivers new Kias with zip, zero, nothing down, and zero payments for the next 3 months. Plus, at Galliana Kia, we'll get you out of your current lease or loan, even if you're over mileage, have months left, or still owe thousands. Worried about your credit? Don't sweat it. If you've got a job and you make at least $2,000 per month, our lenders can get you approved. Don't make a car buying mistake. If you want a great deal without the hassle, gotta go to Galliana. Galliana Kia on Greystone, I-126 Zoo Exit in Columbia. Call 779-7300 or KiaColumbia.com. Rio stock number 3K1107, $278 per month for 84 months at 6.9 APR. Price plus tax tag includes $225 closing fee. Negative trade equity financed in new loans subject to lender approval. Expires month end.
South Carolina Department of Corrections is hiring sergeants and lieutenants statewide. If you have correctional, security, military, or police experience, you can join SCDC as a sergeant or lieutenant. There's $7,500 sign-on bonuses, increased pay, and great employee benefits available. Start your new year off with a new career. Visit joinscdc.com to apply today or call 803-734-JOBS for more information.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour
With Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell, and Tyler Head.
on your home of the Gamecocks.
1075 The Game.
Back in on the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler, West, and Chris along with you going until 12 o'clock, and then it'll be the halftime show with Jay and Terry. We're having this conversation about the weird places you guys have reported and broke stories and so on and so forth. And you mentioned the thing about your child being born and, you know, that being in the midst of the coaching search after Spurrier stepped down. I'm curious, both of you guys are married. How much did the calendar of the sports year and what you guys do affect your wedding date?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, it was the main determining factor.
Yeah.
And how did you ultimately decide on the right day for that?
Well, she picked, but
that's the answer to every question.
She picked, but she knew it. But I mean, she wasn't gonna. Both of our wives enjoy going to the games anyway, so it wasn't.
Yeah.
My wife was never gonna pick a day that could have possibly been a South Carolina football game.
If I would have even suggested a South Carolina football game, not that I would have, but if I did, wedding party would have been off.
You would have been there by yourself.
Yeah.
But I do have, now we have, on the other hand, had some weddings on game days
that you had to go to.
Mm-hmm.
Those are tough.
And so some creativity, is involved with those.
Colin was telling me a story. It wasn't his wedding. Maybe it was somebody else's wedding where somebody's on a Zoom call with Muschamp.
No, that was definitely his wedding.
That was his wedding? Okay.
It wasn't him.
Okay.
Obviously.
But was it one of you guys on the Zoom call with Muschamp?
It was not one of us.
Where you can hear things going on in the background?
We will just say it was not one of us.
Okay. Somebody. He shared that story a couple weeks ago. Somebody did that.
Yeah.
And you can hear Colin's wedding going on.
I carried my iPad and my suit jacket one time to a wedding and then put it out on a table at the reception to watch the South Carolina Kentucky game one year.
Now, see, that's not an odd thing. I've watched football games at weddings. That's not an unusual thing.
Well, we checked before. Like, you guys going to be playing the game by any chance? They're like, no. Okay, well, we'll bring it then.
I'm going to be playing the game.
Yeah, we're going to play it at this table.
Got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, but that was a huge factor.
I have a completely different subject.
Go for
it.
That I've been looking for a way to shoehorn in.
Just put it in there.
Not happening. This is definitely an off-season discussion. We teased this when our friend Preston Thorne used to sit in this chair. Cue some sad music.
Yeah,
he is
violin.
No longer with us. He is hanging out on the morning show for some reason. But I'm ready to have, because we had the Nick Emmanwori conversation last week about if he's the fastest guy on the team. I'm ready to have the conversation about, is there any part of you that wants to move Emmanwori to linebacker? Or are you completely overthinking life if you even consider it? We had somebody on YouTube respond, and basically they were like, "You're an idiot. Like, why would you even consider moving a guy?" I'm exaggerating, but why would you even consider moving a guy who was so good as a true freshman in the SEC at safety? And again, my answer is not that you absolutely should move him. I'm still just questioning, should you consider it? Should you look into it? Should you play him some reps at linebacker in the spring just to see what it looks like, just to see what happens? Now, a big part of this equation is, what does the rest of your defense look like? Where does he best help this defense? And that's why I think it probably does not happen ultimately, because he's going to be needed at safety. I think they're going to have a little more depth at safety potentially this year than they did this past season. However, I don't know if you can comfortably make that move. But my only point is just in the context of Emmanwori himself, his best possible future position. Is there a part of you that says this guy is a tackling machine, has great instincts, naturally takes proper angles in tackling? I feel like that is his superpower. Covering passes 50 yards downfield is not his superpower. It's something I'm sure he'll be working on this offseason. But his superpower is being big, fast, athletic, and being able to track ball carriers. There's that little sort of voice in the back of my head that's like, man, this guy could be like, the sky is the limit to how good he could be at linebacker.
I'm a little bit, so I do not think you're crazy for saying that. Like if South Carolina announced tomorrow for some reason in the offseason that Nick Emmanwori was moving to linebacker, like, okay, as long as y'all have safety situated, as long as you feel good about it, I get it. That's not one of those things where you go, why would they do that? Because from a skill set standpoint, I think you're right on it with his tool set, his size, his speed, his physicality. You don't look at Nick Emmanwori and say, he can't play linebacker. You actually think, well, he can thrive doing that. But you also think he could thrive at safety. So here's what I land on when I think about it. And you did give me an advanced preview of your theory on Nick Emmanwori. Why not? He's kind of a unicorn from a size to athleticism ratio, so make him that. So what about an Isaiah Simmons type of role at Clemson? And I look back to do a little research, Wes, at Isaiah Simmons' career at Clemson. People may get annoyed, roll their eyes, and say, you shouldn't use a Clemson player. Okay, I am, because it's a good comparison. Isaiah Simmons' snap breakdown his last season at Clemson. D-line, 116 snaps. Box, 299. Slot corner, 262. Wide corner, 13. Free safety, 132. And he also played a bunch of snaps on special teams. Now, I'm not saying you got to put Nick Emmanwori out wide, make him a corner. But when you look at the skill set, it makes sense. I remember talking West to his high school coach, Aaron Brand, at Irmo. And one of the things he brought up is he was like, if that kid, if you wanted to put a bunch of weight on him and let him rush the passer, he could go do that and be really, really good at it. So why not make him kind of a unicorn type of role where you can move him all around?
Yeah. That's now, first of all, I'm just processing the news that he played outside corner for 13 snaps.
He did.
Isaiah Simmons did.
Yeah.
I got to imagine, I don't know. I'm not going to pretend. I don't watch a lot of Clemson ball, but maybe that's when a tight end was flexed all the way out there, potentially. But still, I mean, the ability to cover space at that size, regardless of what uniform he's in.
He was 238 and ran a 4.39 at the combine. Isaiah Simmons was.
By the way, I did go back and confirm 4.47 for Emmanwori out of high school.
And he's gotten faster now.
Yes.
Because he's gotten even more training on how to run the 40. He's optimized his body even more from high school. He's faster. Safe to say.
Well, the race with AB.
That also, more evidence there.
Although I want to see them line it up again, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if there's a little bit of, I can beat this guy from AB.
Uh-oh. Nick wouldn't like you saying that.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, let's line
I
it up
agree.
again. And it was not
I
a
agree.
40-yard dash, if you look back. It was 50. It looked like it was 50. Let me say, they finished at the 50. I think they started at the goal line. Why would you start at the 10? I think they started at the goal line and went to the 50. So,
okay.
Anyway,
no, I'm here for the race. I mean, Spencer said he would come.
Spencer said he would be the judge.
He would not run.
I'm just saying, and I'm with you. I think there is, you don't want to overcomplicate it either, and give him too much to do. Yeah,
that's true. I mean, I think he can handle, doing more, and that could be. It could be as simple as, we don't have to do, I mean, I laid out a lot there, a bunch of different roles that Isaiah Simmons did, just as kind of as an example, but it could just be as simple as, hey, you're walking up to the box even more.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. On early downs, which they did that a decent amount. I'm gonna pull up how he was deployed last year to make sure that I'm not missing something on that. But I think with a guy like him, when you have him, I feel like you've got to use him. Like, you remember when the staff put Jadeveon Clowney in that like linebacker role I think that was in his last year. They did that a little bit. And look, I mean, when he got to the NFL, like you're doing a little bit more of that. But I kind of looked at that and I went, nah, this guy needs to be on the. So I just feel like when you have guys with unique skill sets, like you need to use them in ways. And so to your point about Emmanwori, he's a guy that's physical enough to come down in the box and play. So maybe you do need to let him do that a little bit more.
I thought at the very least you put him in the box on maybe some passing situations. If you have enough depth at safety, and we're getting a little deep into the woods or into the weeds here, but if you have enough depth at safety, which I think all these things are domino effects. Where does DQ Smith play? And how you're using Emmanwori will affect that as well.
Go into a timeout, come back on the other side. Got a few people weighing in on the Firehouse Subs text line in reference to this conversation about Nick Emmanwori, and we will hit that on the other side. You are listening to the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs right here on 107.5 The Game.
Game on demand podcast menu.
Sponsored by Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
If you're dealing with injuries or pain, our team is here to get you better sooner.
On the home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
Do you struggle with occasional nerve aches in your hands or feet? Try Nervive Nerve Relief from the world's #1 nerve care company. Nervive tablets contain alpha-lipoic acid to relieve nerve aches, weakness, and discomfort, plus B-complex vitamins to support healthy nerve function as you age. Live life with less nerve discomfort with Nervive Nerve Relief. Learn more at nervivehealth.com. And try Nervive Pain Relieving Cream to block nerve pain signals at the source. Use as directed.
When a cold comes on strong, knock it out with Vicks DayQuil Severe for max strength daytime relief. Just one dose of Vicks DayQuil Severe starts to relieve 9 of your worst cold and flu symptoms to help take you from 9 to none. Power through your day with Vicks DayQuil Severe, the daytime non-drowsy, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, 9 to none medicine. Use as directed.
It's time to contact AAA Heating and Air and tell them Bill Gunner sent you. That's right. 803-677-1500. If you're in need of repairs or maintenance to your heating and air system, contact AAA Heating and Air today. Again, 803-677-1500. You know you are putting comfort in your own hands with qualified technicians from AAA Heating and Air. So don't wait any longer. Contact them today. 803-677-1500. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
AAA Air when you need us. AAA Heating and Air.
Hey guys, it's Jay Phillips for the Hood team at Coldwell Banker. You know, the Columbia real estate market continues to evolve. In fact, our market is now one of the fastest growing in all of the United States. Danny Hood, Karen Hood, their son, William DiMaggio, have more than 37 years of experience in Columbia real estate, and they're ready to help you, whether it's buying or selling your home. 803-730-2512, thehoodteam.com. Put those years of experience to work for you with the Hood team.
Heath here with the mortgage guru, Jacob Crowder from First Palmetto Bank. And if the new year has you building or buying a new home, you need a guru in this market. First Palmetto Bank is owned and operated here in the Midlands, and Jacob has local decision makers, which means quick and precise processing and underwriting. If you're looking to make a move, give Jacob a call, 803-719-1005, or email him at jcrowder@firstpalmetto.com.
Thanks, Heath. Interest rates have stabilized. The local housing market also has stabilized. Now is a good time to buy a house. At First Palmetto, we have products that help homebuyers keep payments down. Also, if you are considering building your future home, please ask me about our no-nonsense construction loans. The new year brings change, and if I can help you, please give me a call, 803-719-1005.
So to follow up, rates in the housing market are stable, which makes now a good time to buy.
I'd say that sums it up.
Great. Call Jacob Crowder today, 803-719-1005.
My NMLS number is 198432. First Palmetto Bank is a member of FDIC and any equals and lender.
This is Larry Leitner, owner and founder of Midstate Roofing. And for nearly 30 years, we've continued to be the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. Midstate Roofing's proven history is your assurance that our professionals at Midstate Roofing will provide the proper advice, service, and results to the needs of your facility in a manner both safe and pleasing to your operation. From high-rise to hospitals, manufacturing to industrial, Midstate Roofing designs and installs bonded systems with a protective guarantee that will keep your operation dry and running long into the future. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And this is Blake Liner, reminding you to protect that roof with a maintenance contract. Call me today at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. That's midstateroofing.com.
You'll speak to an on-call technician after hours or a Midstate Roofing staff member during hours at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. And as always, tell them Midstate Twins.
If you have a leak, let Midstate Roofing take a peek.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game.
A great selection of new Chevys is available now at Herndon Chevrolet. The lot is packed with inventory and more is on the way. So shop your hometown Chevy dealer today.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour.
Presented by Firehouse Subs. Founded by firemen with Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell, and Tyler Head on your home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
Back in on the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs, Tyler, Wes, and Chris, along with you, continuing on with y'all's conversation about Nick Emmanwori. Thomas from Camden hits us on the Firehouse Subs text line, 803-404-6100, saying he thinks that Emmanwori would be better at linebacker than safety. If you think about it, he was making most of his tackles that the linebacker should have made, and if he had the speed, why not go ahead and play the linebacker position?
He was a cleanup man. I mean, you look at the solo tackle numbers, they were intense. And I actually looked up I gave Isaiah Simmons like PFF snaps by position breakdown, kind of as a reference point to what they could do with Emmanwori. The numbers are kind of interesting, Wes, and I'm going to give them to you in just a second. But first, I want to take a minute to tell you about Amy Mason Cup State Farm. When my family was looking to switch and save on our insurance, we turned to Amy Mason Cup State Farm. She took care of the rest. An experienced team, a knowledgeable team, responsive and helpful, and they can help you with all sorts of insurance policies: home, auto, business, boat, renter's insurance, life insurance, Medicare supplements, and more. South Carolina native, local agent. She and her team can give you a personalized quote to meet your needs and help you save. You can also stop by her office at Ashland Park Plaza, 612 St. Andrews Road, right off I-26. Make sure you ask about the Drive Safe and Save app from State Farm. Dynamic new features like interactive maps and driving tips. You can earn up to 30%, and all across the country, drivers are reaping the rewards of safer driving with the updated Drive Safe and Save app from State Farm. So again, that's Amy Mason Cup. AmyMasonCup.com, MASINCUPP, or 803-772-5554. Give Amy Mason Cup State Farm a call today to learn more. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Wes, do you think that Nick Emmanwori played more snaps at free safety or in the box last season?
According to PFF?
That's right. Because I didn't count him up.
I'll say in the box.
Close, though. That is kind of a trick question because it's very close. So he played 942 snaps.
Good.
Between defense and special teams, although he didn't play a ton on special teams.
Because he had to play every snap on defense.
Yeah, he played one snap of kick return, one of punt return. He did a little kick coverage, a little punt coverage, and he was on the field goal extra point block team, which makes sense. But mostly defensive snaps, right? In the box, about a third of the time, 315 snaps. At free safety, 335, according to PFF. He also did play some slot corner, 170 snaps. And they classified him as a D lineman, 20 snaps, wide corner just twice. My guess that might have been down in the red zone, depending on packages.
Yeah, that had to be. And you know, when I don't think he played a single snap of actual nickel. Like if you're looking at it from a South Carolina defensive structure standpoint, he wasn't playing that position. If you were looking at it from a PFF standpoint and you're a neutral observer, you're seeing, all right, he's up in the box playing man coverage against the slot receiver. You would categorize him as a slot corner.
But it's more of a box safety.
But really, it's probably him walked up.
Yeah, they probably played a single high safety there.
Yeah, and which they played a ton of single high and they played a ton of man coverage. So, from semantics, I think to an extent. But
so the answer then is more likely that you were right. The answer is probably that you take those 315 box snaps and the 170 slot corner snaps, and what that means is he played the box more than he did at free safety. So I guess in your question, to go back to your point, do you increase that even more in 2023?
Yeah, and I think what we're also seeing is that he's actually already doing some of the things we're talking about without, quote, moving him to another position. He can play in the box a ton without being a, quote, linebacker. Which there are negatives to playing linebacker. You're having to deal with offensive linemen being on you basically all the time, as opposed to running free and making these tackles from your safety spot.
And one other thing before we close this out, last year you felt great about doing what you said, one high and man coverage, because you got Cam Smith and Darius Rush. This season, do you feel as good about doing that? Because then if you're walking down Nick Emmanwori, now you're a little bit more exposed, so to speak, on the back end. So just another interesting consideration when you sort through the possibility of this.
All right, that'll do it for today's edition of the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. We'll be back tomorrow for the Wednesday edition. For Wes and Chris, I'm Tyler. Going to head into a commercial break. Come back on the other side with Jay and Chris in the house.